Good day, folks, and welcome to another edition of LFG, your favorite franchise education podcast. It's been a little bit. I am Michael Hyam, and my co-host Leanne Caruso. We are super excited to have you back. But before we get to what's going on, we have to hear about Leanne's day. Leanne, how's it going? How's your week been?
My week has been good, but I think I was just saying I was gonna say it's busy, but I feel like every week is busy. So it's just it's been a great week. Been a good week. Busy is not always bad, but we haven't had podcast recording in a while. So it's good to catch up. How have you been? You've had a bunch of holidays and a lot of travel.
I have had holidays. You've had a lot of holidays, actually. Where were you? Whistler and skiing and pretending to work and
That's right. I did work most of the time while I was in Whistler. Whistler was great. It was beautiful. Thanks for
yes,
asking.
no, I have. At our Chicago franchise show, which was phenomenal. Oh my goodness, who would have thought for a registration state, we'd get a couple thousand people to come on out.
That's
Everyone
great.
was ecstatic, and it's nice to see that people are still looking for opportunities. And then, of course, the Orlando franchise show. My goodness, that one was crazy. And we'll talk about franchising after dark. Our first event, crazy, crazy, crazy. We'll talk about it. So much fun, dancing on the tables. No, folks, not that kind of dancing,
Hey, what happens in
but
Orlando stays in Orlando.
exactly. Oh my
Orlando was
goodness, I don't.
hot
But you know what was amazing was
in
that we
all the
filled up
ways.
the whole table with over 30 people, and so many more wanted to come in and said, "Hey, Mike, how come I wasn't invited to franchising after dark? How come I wasn't?" I'm like, "Listen, folks, we emailed all of you. We love everybody, and we wanted everyone to come. But you know what? There's only so many seats at the table, so if you snooze, you lose.
Right.
But
That's right. So don't
and
snooze
there's
on
only so
Tampa
much
or
room on top of the table."
right, which we had to do. Yeah, so don't snooze on Tampa or Atlanta. And it's pretty cool because I wasn't quite sure if this concept was going to work because I know sometimes on a Sunday night, do you really want to go to dinner with work people? But we filled it up
Work
like
people.
well
I
2 weeks.
like to call them family, Leanne, but you
But
can
not
call them
everybody
work
does.
people.
We do, which is why we were doing it, but not everybody feels that way. But we filled it up 2 weeks in advance, so that's really exciting.
I love it. If anyone doesn't know about it, look it up www.franchisingafterdark.com. And hopefully, when you try to get in, Leanne will accept you. But unfortunately, she declined a few people that she doesn't like. I'm
Show,
just kidding.
show your age without showing your age. www dot. You just
Was
outed
that a bit?
yourself.
I did not at all. Um, that is called an advertorial, Leanne. An advertorial.
What? Speaking of avatar, oh wait, who do we have today? Today we have Kenny Stalker, VP of Sales and Partnerships of V Digital. But before we get to our franchise royals, which is next, this segment is brought to you by Netsertive. If you have listened to this podcast, you know I work with a lot of marketing partners in franchising. One frustration I hear all the time is disconnected systems, reporting in one place, ad platforms in another, and no clear view of what is actually working locally. That is where Netsertive comes in. They bring localized strategy, expert teams, and their MLX technology platform together so performance data lives in one place and locations can grow more efficiently. If that sounds helpful for your brand, visit netsertive.com to learn more. All right, Michael, have you recovered
Covered from what?
from your giggles? All right, let's talk about franchise royals. Who is your franchise royal this week?
Franchise Royal. So I'm not sure if this is a recent thing, but it might be within the last 45 days. I noticed on LinkedIn that an old friend and well-known individual around the franchise circle, Mark Mealy, who just started with Ivy Brook Academy. Mark has been a good friend and a friend of the show and a friend of the franchise show. And I was pleasantly surprised just to see him working with Ivy Brook. Um, just that he landed over there, which is phenomenal. And he has a ton of experience in franchise development. I believe he's the vice president of FranDev, but I could be wrong, Mark. So if you're listening, congratulations, my friend, and so happy to see you at Ivy Brook. How about you, Leanne? Who do you got?
Congratulations to Mark. I have Marcy Kleinsesser, who just jumped ship from the franchisor side to the supplier side. She came to the dark side, and she just joined Voxy as their VP of marketing. And that's really, really exciting. And just to throw a quick plug out at Voxy, we also just partnered with Voxy, kind of at the same time all of this was happening, but they're going to be one of our new partner assembly sponsors, and they're sponsoring all of our events, which is really exciting. And so we'll now have text messaging as at our events, which is even cooler. So congratulations to Marcy.
Congratulations, Marcy. That is awesome, and a partnership that came out of left field. Nepotism. I don't know. That's great. Thank you, Marcy. I kid. I kid. That is great. So before we head on to show and tell segment, learn more about Paperfly.
Creating marketing materials for your franchise shouldn't be a choice between speed and brand consistency. Paperfly gives local franchises the power to create and adapt brand-approved marketing materials in minutes without needing a designer. With design templates and one central portal, campaigns launch faster, giving you built-in visibility and complete brand governance. See why franchise networks trust Paperfly to deliver thousands of brand-consistent assets at scale. Visit paperfly.com.
Amazing. Thank you, Paperfly. Okay, so on to show and tell, which is the meat and potatoes, of course, for those of you that don't know. This segment is where we bring on an industry expert, someone to shed some light and education. And we're super stoked to have Kenny on, VP of Sales and Partnerships at V Digital. Kenny, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself, about V Digital Services, focus on day to day?
Yeah, you got it. Nice to see y'all. Kenny, I'm talking to y'all from the great city of Chicago.
As you
We've
say,
got last,
y'all.
yeah, y'all, exactly. Well, I think that helps things. You're all inclusive in that way. Isn't that the perfect
That's
thing to
right.
say at this point? I mean, it really is. Um, I'm father of twins, boy-girl twins. They are off the dole 100%. That's very nice. Um, my wife and I are doing everything we can to work through every restaurant in Chicago while still maintaining a somewhat figure. I don't know how well that's working, but I feel like we're going back to COVID days and need to go back to COVID workout days. Um, I'm with V Digital Services, as Michael had said. We're a full service digital agency. We're a team of about 200. We have major offices in Denver, Phoenix, Dallas, and Miami. And I oversee a team specifically that deals with national, franchise, and multi-location business. And when we say we're full service, we do everything that you could think of. I think the thing that probably makes us most unique is we have our own programmatic platform in-house. You don't, granted, we're still getting data from the trade desk and other data partners, but we do it all in-house. So it's not coming from elsewhere, which I think works well. But I've been with this company for 32 years. We used to be a huge publishing company. Depending on your age, you may remember, say, the Village Voice in New York or the LA Weekly in LA, Chicago Reader here in Chicago. We didn't own the Chicago Reader, but we owned 27 papers like all of those papers. I'm just kind of picking some of the biggest ones. If you're in the South, Creative Loafing in the Atlanta area.
Um,
Um, and then digital really started to hit newspapers, as everybody knows, and we made a pivot about 18 years ago to really focus more on the agency side. And um, we'd always been very hyper local, because if you're thinking about those entertainment newspapers, we were the place to go for rentals and the place to go for restaurants and the place to go for the best clubs. So we always were really good from a hyper local perspective, and we knew that that's something that we could kind of bring to the masses more in a digital perspective. And here we are. At
Here
this
we
point, it's
are.
kind of crazy. Yeah, we still own four papers. We used to own 27, but we sold all of those others to literally take that capital and build out the agency side of our business, and that's about 92% of our revenue at this point. So
Wow.
it was a good pivot.
Very
That's
cool.
great. Are those papers all still being printed, or are those papers digitally?
They're still being printed, crazily enough. Yeah, they're still in marketplaces that they're large enough marketplaces, and they have really good editors who are really entrenched in the marketplace, just from everything from community to political, and they continue to be a really good voice in those marketplaces.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, so before we get into all of the things we're going to talk about, what's your favorite restaurant in Chicago?
Oh my goodness. Probably right this moment, it would be a little place called Libertad Sur,
Oh,
Wicker Park.
okay.
Yeah.
I'm ready to get down. That's awesome.
There's
Um,
so many. I mean, it's literally in a
yeah,
lifetime. We couldn't eat at all the restaurants in
right,
Chicago.
right. I
Just,
love Chicago.
yeah.
Okay, so 18, you said years ago you switched to a digital agency, and in those 18 years, I'm sure you've seen like so many changes, and here we are again with AI, this, changing everything.
Yep.
So I know the landscape, the SEO landscape has changed, and how do we get SEO and sales to align and marketing to align and all
Yep.
of those good things. So how are people making decisions online these days?
Oh, isn't that the question? One, I would tell everyone who has not seen it, go see that new AI documentary
Mm,
that's out in theaters. It's a fabulous, fabulous watch, and it's very emotional roller coaster ride of AI is going to blow up the world, AI is going to save the world, and I think everybody has a little bit of that thought process kind of across the board. How do we use it from our perspective? I mean, it's been interesting to watch AI. I mean, think about ChatGPT, and that ChatGPT was the darling, geez, up
mm,
to just 3 months ago.
right.
It's been amazing to watch ChatGPT over the last 12 plus months. Their usage has gone down almost 20%, whereas Claude and Gemini's usage has gone up between 15 and 18%. So people change. I mean, we are back to where we were. You can tell by the gray in my hair. Back to where we were when everyone was trying to decide what search engine was going to win. You know, there
Right.
was Google and there was Yahoo and there was Ask Jeeves. If you guys remember that crazy name, Ask Jeeves. That's just crazy. Um,
AltaVista.com. I remember
yeah,
that one.
yeah. I mean, it's just crazy to think about. And then it was kind of reduced down. I mean, Yahoo's still kind of here, but it really is Google and Bing, as we know. And it's just interesting to see just the transference just in the last 3 months of Claude really taking the reins at this point. And now it's getting more and more to the point that depending on what business you have and what your company decides to go with, are you going to use Copilot more that's plugged into your whole systems? Are you going to use Gemini more that's plugged into your whole systems? Um, and if you guys are like me, I have seven different AIs that I keep on my phone and on my desktop, so I can kind of flip back and forth and see how are they all different. And it really is amazing how different each one of them will respond to a question or an agent or whatever you may put in there. Um, and I guess how has it changed? I mean, it's interesting just to think about planning a trip. I mean, think about how you used to plan a trip 5 years ago. You would do a whole bunch of research on Google and you'd probably keep a spreadsheet. And on that spreadsheet, you'd have all the hotels you were thinking about and the restaurants you were thinking about and all the places you wanted to go, chat with a whole bunch of friends, depending on what they have going on. Um, Now you can get on and you can hear the dates and I'm looking to do these types of things and here's the type of food I want and I like to walk or I don't like to walk or I like art or I'm more interested in stuff to do with my kids, things along those lines. Create me an itinerary. Um, Itinerary isn't perfect in your mind. You tweak the itinerary. I mean, it's just kind of amazing to see how it's changed, and then from the perspective of the companies that are hoping they're going to come up when you're doing that search is how do I make sure that I'm coming up for that? I mean, that's the crazy part is how do you manipulate things in some way to surface yourself.
Mm,
Um, then, as everyone probably knows, just looking at what's happened with your Google Analytics over the last year, 18 months, why is traffic down? But a lot of companies will look at it and say, traffic's down, but my conversions aren't necessarily down as much as my traffic is down. Why is that? Well, that's because there's the no-click phenomenon, if you guys are familiar with that. And for anybody who's not, I do an AI search and it brings everything up for me and it gives me enough information that either it's going to answer my question, or maybe I'm just, because I have AI up and I don't want to get out of my AI screen, I'm just gonna, grab the name of that business and I'm going to throw it into something else. Um, AI still isn't perfect. I mean, my wife and I were just talking about this last night, where they have Claude in their back end, their company, and she was so keep in mind, it's integrated into their company. They have the highest version, highest latest version of Claude, and she was doing some research for a project she was on, and she clicked on one of the links in Claude, and what happened? It released a virus on her computer.
oh
Oh,
Kind
no.
of crazy. Um, so it's one of those things that you've got to make sure that you don't take everything that AI is giving you for gospel. You still
Right.
have to give it that humanizing approach.
So what do we have to do as businesses to get, to kind of get ahead of this? So what's our pivot as a business?
That's the most interesting piece. Like, I'll give you a scenario that just came up with a franchise brand that my SEO team and I were working with yesterday. And it's a franchise brand that has 140 different locations. And of those 140 different locations, they're very varied in where they are geographically. There are locations that have populations of 200,000. They are areas that have populations of 75,000. There are areas that have populations of, 1.5 million. And what they were really asking is, what do we need to do to come up? And it's getting harder in a lot of ways because AI is trying to look for that extremely localized approach. They want to try to find you that person that's really entrenched in their community and is going to really care about what they're doing and care about the community as a whole. And it's interesting because if you're a franchise brand that may have multiple services and you may be going up against individual um, solo owners of like a company that just does lawn care, and you do lawn care and tree care and all the things that you could do for a yard, it's going to be harder for you to show up. So the question then becomes, how many pages do I really need? But I mean, if you think about some things that you can do at the very local level, grab your couple of your favorite AIs, and literally ask the AI questions like this. Why is my Google Business Profile not coming up for this specific type of search for, lawn care or tree care? Why is it not coming up? And you can even take it further because you may have a point where you're coming up in some areas, but you're not coming up in other areas. So why am I not coming up in this area? And see what it brings back to you, because it will bring back a lot of information. And again, I say do it across a number of AIs because you're going to get a lot of different responses, and dig in some. Then ask it very specifically, what should I be doing? But then also do some research of your own to see who is coming up. And then ask AI, XYZ companies coming up. How is their site different than my site? And see what it says. And then ask it again, prompt it again. What can I do to make my site more like theirs, to kind of run on their coattails? Because SEO is the old thing of, and AI is still the same thing of, it's going to look at who looks to be the expert in what they're doing at that moment. Sincerest form of flattery is to copy them a little bit, but it still has to be your own. So just think about it. It sounds so simple, but from an individual owner's perspective, just doing those types of things can really help. You then need to take it a bunch more steps. I mean, make it seem like it's easy, but in the perfect world, you're going to really go back and you're going to research the keywords. You're going to research keywords on your competitors. You're going to research keywords on your industry, all those types of things to make sure that they're all sinking in. But some of the purest, easiest ways to do it, if you are a really busy person, is just ask, why am I not coming up? And tell me how I can be better at coming up, and then work to put those things together on your site. Okay.
gotcha. So What you're saying is once we put that in, we have to work on it. There's no actual way that AI will fix itself and give you the answer that you're looking for to represent your company. You need to do the back end stuff on your own website, on whatever.
There are some plugins that you can put into some websites that will do some things, but those plugins are not going to be perfect. Keep in mind that those plugins are not going to do all the extra research that I just said. The plugin is not going to do a comparison of your competitors. It's not going to ask very specifically about your Google Business Profile page versus say, hey, why is this page on my site not getting traffic? This is the page, I feel this is my conversion page. Why is this page not performing for me? Um, those are the things you really need to ask it. And then yes, you're going to have to work to put some of that stuff on the back end of your site, or you're going to have to work to put some content on your site, or you're going to have to make some changes to the visibility of your site, or you're going to have to update current content on your site depending on what's going on. You may have to add new pages that you just don't have enough pages on your site to compete with whoever the best businesses are, or maybe not the best, but businesses that are surfacing more consistently than yours in a specific category.
So I think I've heard this before, and it kind of sounds like all the things that you're saying is really the SEO strategy is kind of back to is really the basics of what SEO strategy has always been, right?
In a lot of ways, yes. I mean, there are extras to that, but yes, let me speak to that in 2 points. 100%. SEO has kind of always been kind of three pillars, and those three pillars are technical. Can Google and the AIs read everything on the back side of your website? Is the coding portion of your website done correctly? Are the keywords done correctly? Do you have all the code? Do you have schema code? Do you have localized code? All those things, is that on the back end of the site for the electronic guys to read? Two, content. Do you have good content? Does your content show how you're different? Does your content show why you're an expert and somebody else isn't an expert, or you're more of an expert than they are? Does your content talk about the value you bring in comparison to others? And then three are backlinks or authority. You can have all the content you want on your site, but you have to get authority or outside backlinks to point to that content to create authority for the content that's actually on the site. Then you step into what's next. That's pure SEO, because pure SEO for, say, Google's perspective was what is on the site. I'm going to look at the site. I'm going to compare it to other sites. AI is different. AI is definitely looking at Reddit, and it's looking at reviews, and it's looking at a lot of other things that are out there that Google is not necessarily looking at, because it's trying to bring in that very localized review feel, because it wants to not necessarily just allow your website to try to game the system as it may be by, you don't want the person who just has the most money to make their website to be the best. You want to make sure that you're still going to work with somebody who is just great at what they do. And if they've got 1,000 reviews and their reviews are fabulous reviews based on what they do, AI wants to make sure that it's integrating that into its surfacing of who they think are the best.
Does that feed into social and like
Without question.
Better Business Bureau, different forums,
Yep.
like all of those things? So if you've got a franchisor, looking at their website, what's the focus? What should they focus on first or next?
They need to focus on, if it's a franchise, they need to focus on the local pages, very
Mhm.
much the local pages, to make sure that they have enough difference in them versus the other franchisees on the site to show what's happening with them at the very local level. Then they need to look at their individual service pages if they offer multiple services. It's been interesting. There's been a number of companies recently that feel as though you need to have one main website, and then you need to have just one page for your franchise brand. And then if you click on different services for your franchise brand, it just takes you back to the main website. It sounds good. It sounds like it's going to save you money, because it will save you money because you won't have as many pages, but you're going to miss all those localized pages. And that is what's going to make you stand out at the local level. So it is making sure that that's done. At the local level also is really making sure that you're doing good local SEO. So there is a point, I'm sure everybody's familiar with Google Business Profile pages. There is a point that Google Business Profile pages were just the And then there was about 18 months where they were struggling. I think it's because Google was trying to figure out what was happening, and Google was going through all of their AI changes, and people were doing different things with AI. Then everyone started realizing the AI really is looking at outside sources, all those outside business directories, like you were talking about, Leanne, with the Better Business Bureau and socials and so on and so forth. But it really is looking at the Google Business Profile pages too, because it has some of the richest reviews. And the Google Business Profile pages, if you're doing them right with good posts and you're doing them right with putting your service profiles and modules on there. So work all the little pieces that you can. And if you don't have time to do it, have somebody that's going to help you at least do some of the minimal things. Make sure that your Google Business Profile page is really, really up to speed. Make sure that you're working with the franchise brand to see whether you can have some of your own really specific pages or work with their team or their SEO team to make them good. And if you have the time and energy to write some of your own individual blogs, specifically for your location that will live within your URL string as a blog format for both the consumer and the robots to see.
That's great. That's great information and a lot of information. I'd be like, pass it to V Digital. Like, I don't want to do any of this stuff. Like that's a lot of stuff. But okay, so let's say that we're optimized. We've fixed our SEO. We've gone on socials, forums, etc. And so now we're pivoting to first party data, where we're trying to capture information, right? So tell us about the leaky bucket problem, where
Sure.
80 to 95% of website visitors leave without taking action, and what should we do there?
Okay. So everyone's heard of first party data, I'm sure. You know that you have first party data if somebody calls you, leaves you a message, gives you their phone number, you have that data. If somebody, obviously, what we'd all love is fill out as many forms on my website as you possibly can, because that gives you more first party data. On average, 93 to 95% of the people that come to your website do not convert at that time. Doesn't mean they won't convert later, but at least when they come to the website, they're collecting information. They're determining, they're doing comparison shopping, they're window shopping as it may be. So in essence, you're losing somewhere between 93 and 95% of the ability to reach out to those people. In the perfect world, you would try to resolve what we call resolve information on as many people that come to your website as you possibly can, and store and use that data. And what I mean about that specifically is we have the ability, and we have a couple of competitors out there. I think we do it better, and I can tell you why later. But what happens is somebody comes to the website. We have thousands of data partners that we work with. Somebody comes to the website, and either from your IP address or the code or the number that's attached to your phone, we're able to then crunch numbers and say, hey, we feel that we have an email for this person, and then we have to show that 4 other separate partners confirm that same email. We'll do the same with first names and last names. We'll do the same with addresses. We'll do the same with income levels, all those types of things. And the reason that you want this data is kind of twofold. First is more and more people are setting privacy. I mean, really specifically, if you have a franchise in the California market, or if you have a franchise in the Colorado market, especially the California market, though, they have the most stringent privacy laws that are out there. So one, you want to have a consent management platform on your website anyway, just to show that, hey, this is what we're doing. Because even if you collect Google Analytics data or any data in any way, shape, or form, you have to have something on your site that lets people know that it's there. And it can't just be a privacy statement at the bottom. It needs to be something that's up and visible for them to be able to see. So if you have that consent in there, then you have the ability, unless they say no, and some people are saying no, but we're still finding that roughly 95% of people just hit X. They just get out of it. They just don't want it in their face. But if you then have that data, and we're able to resolve somewhere between 15 and 35% of all the people that come to your website. And when I say that, this could be they come in organically, they come in direct, they come in through ad campaigns you're doing, they come in through social campaigns they're doing, through programmatic campaigns, through organic social. Doesn't matter how they come in, you can resolve information on them. And then The best things to do is if you are running a Google campaign or you're running a social campaign, you plug that data right back in there. Then it's your data. It's a really specific data. You don't have to do as many retargeting campaigns with Google. You don't have to do as many retargeting campaigns with Meta because it's your data. You can create better lookalike audiences based on that. But the second thing that I think is even better, and to step back, when you plug that data in, we're seeing somewhere between an 8 and 20% increase in efficiency from those campaigns, just because you're feeding the campaign more and more data. I mean, I'm sure most everybody here, if you have an agency, you're feeding first party data in there that you already have, people who have already done business with you, and you're pushing that into your CRM or you're pushing that into your Google, pushing it from your CRM into Google or into Meta. The more of that data you have, the better. And then I think the best thing you can do about it with it really is with that data, plug it into your CRM and create drip and create a good 12 or 18 cadence drip email campaign where if somebody comes in, they're going to get this first email and then they're going to slowly just roll through that 18 step campaign that you have. If collecting a first party data is done right, you can actually collect data from very specific URLs. So if somebody's coming in for one service versus another service or even a product, I mean, this works for e-commerce as well. You'll be able to know exactly what they were looking at, and you can create a very specific email campaign, drip email campaign specifically for that.
That's
So,
very cool.
yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just to say that's very cool. Is that your prospect hub? Is that
Yeah, that's called that we call that Prospect Hub, and literally the way it works is very simple. We just crunch those numbers, and we have to have 5 independent recognition from different sources of an email or a name or whatever it may be. And what we're often doing is if you're purchasing really good data from programmatic or you're running a Google Performance Max campaign to try to push as much traffic to the site as possible, because as I was saying earlier, AI is cutting down on traffic. You just aren't getting quite as much traffic. So you want to try to create more traffic. The more that you can create traffic with really good campaigns, then you're just going to resolve more and more information off of them. And you just store that data more and more and more.
That's cool. So just out of curiosity, I mean, I think I heard what makes you different, but I want to hear from you. Like, what makes you different than the other digital agencies who are,
We're doing first party data collection. So
right?
so yeah, you're right. I think I said it twice, but I didn't tell you exactly why. So it is that a lot of the first party data collectors will just if they get just one email from anybody, yep, we found an email and they'll give it to you, which means that you're going to get a lot of bogus emails. I mean, I don't know about you guys. I do have my bogus email that I'll sign up for stuff, and then I have my real email when I really want to get good stuff. Um, so you
I think
want to
you're the
make
first person that ever called that out on the podcast that you actually do that. I mean, even though everybody does do it, but yeah. Sorry,
um,
continue.
but that's the thing is we make sure that if we get it from one source, we have to get it from 4 other separate sources. So we have to show that that email is coming up from 5 separate sources before we're going to put it in a report or a dashboard for you. And what's nice about it that's not necessarily unique to us, but what is really nice about this is you can automate all of this. You can automate it so it automatically goes into your Google campaign, automatically goes into your CRM. And if you have either somebody on staff that takes care of your email or not, we could do that. We could help you with that as well. We can help you direct all of those email campaigns, create those email cadences, all those types of things. But first party data is going to get more and more, is going to become more and more of a need because all of the US is going to follow more and more of what Canada and the EU and the EU has done with privacy. It's just going to happen
Mhm.
more and more.
That's
All right.
great.
So,
And so,
oh,
go ahead.
go ahead.
No, I was going to say, like, listening to all of this, like being from the sales side, for me, it's very overwhelming because, we won't get into that. But for franchisors that are listening and maybe feeling overwhelmed and they don't know where to start, what's the one thing that you tell them to do this week?
Mike would say, call me digital.
That would be great. We would love for them to call be digital. Um, I think one of the first things I would look at, whether you do it with us or another company, is first party data. If you're running any type of campaigns, because it will make them that much healthier. I mean, I think it's one of the craziest things not to do at this point, because if you can fulfill your own data, You purchase lists from Google, you purchase lists from Meta, and then you own it much more consistently. It's just such a great thing to do. And one of the things I didn't talk about is if you're also a franchisor and I mean, think about how long the sales cycle is to try to sell a franchise. It can be 3 months up to, geez, I was actually at your Let's Grow event down in Texas, and I remember somebody saying that it was a 6-year timeline for one of the people that bought their franchises. I mean, it was really kind of crazy. Um, but think about how much shopping there is for franchise to purchase a franchise or purchase a business and how long it takes. And if you can get first party data to get in front of those people and just continue to nurture them with a campaign, it's one of the best things you can do.
It's so
That's
true.
very
And
cool.
speaking of Chicago, it's funny you mentioned that Rosati's Pizza, which is head office, was based in Chicago, and all of their presence is in Chicago. I'm sure you know them well. They've
Oh,
now moved to
yes.
Florida, but he was telling me the same thing. He just closed a deal from our show in LA that happened 3 years ago.
Yeah.
So it can definitely take a while.
Yes. 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 I think it's one of the best things. And if you're really trying to look ahead and you're trying to think about how AI is going to affect things, that's one of the biggest things. But then the next thing is, I would literally go back to some of the first things I was saying of take a little time this weekend and just type in your business and say, hey, one, look where you're coming up with Google Business Profile pages, but just take your biggest competitor. You know exactly who they are in your marketplace and just say, what's different about us? When you look at our website, Mr. Claude, what is different about our two websites? Um, who's going to come up better if I search for this or search for that? It'll give you really good information. It'll just get your mind spinning on what should I be doing here? What should I be focusing on here? What should I be possibly changing? What should I be talking about in our staff marketing, you know, capital meeting upcoming in the next month? It it's good information and it just gets the wheels turning.
That's
I
awesome.
love it. You know what? I'm going to give a shameless plug for ourselves. Leanne, I think we should have Kenny at Franchise Marketing Live and maybe do like a content session or a power play. Like maybe
Yeah.
we should get him in front of all of the marketing franchisors. That might be something to think about.
Yeah, I think
We
that first party data is, I don't think that unless you've got an agency who's talking about it or CMO, I don't feel like it's talked about enough as the first party data. I know that it's a thing, but the budget, spending the money on it, all of those things, I think it's a critical piece of it and should be, like you said, like one of the first things that they should start adding to their, marketing toolkit. So,
Yeah.
yeah. All right. So
Just
how
make
do
sure.
people, oh, sorry.
I was just gonna say, if make sure when you do it, just make sure you have a plan for the data because
Right.
that's the whole thing. Is
Right.
just because there are times that people will get it and then they don't want to act on it. So just make sure that okay, if I get this, do I
Hmm.
have the ability to sit down and the time to sit down and create an email campaign, or if not, can I
Right.
hire somebody to do that, or do I know how, or whoever's running my Google campaigns or Meta campaigns, are they going to know how to plug this data in there? Just make sure that you're going to use the data, or then it's like food spoilage at that point.
Right. Yeah, 100%. So those people who are overwhelmed or not overwhelmed, but I'm pretty sure everybody is, how do they find you?
Um, you can, one of the easiest ways to find me truthfully is to text me, really truthfully. So crazy or not, I'm going to give you my phone number, which is 206-271-9327. And if you look at that and you're like, that's not a Chicago number. I was in Seattle forever. And as we all are at this point, your phone just follows you wherever you last got it. Or feel free to reach me at Kenny.Stalker, and that's Stocker, not the bad type of stalker, at thedigitalservices.com.
Awesome. Well, thanks so much for coming on the show. We really appreciate you and hope to see you soon.
You got it. Thanks for having me. You guys have a great weekend and enjoy
Thanks.
your
You too,
trip to
Kenny.
Chicago, Leanne.
Thank you. I will.
Okay.
Love it. Amazing. The digital. That was phenomenal. Kenny,
Thanks,
you know
Lee.
what? I mean, so much information. I feel like my brain's on information overload, which is great. It's always nice to have well-rounded individuals on the podcast.
Yeah.
Of course, everyone that comes on here is. But our next segment, of course, franchise mingle. So right this coming weekend, we are kicking it off with our New England franchise show happening May 2nd and 3rd. It's actually our first time ever hosting a franchise show in Providence. And of course, that event is going to target individuals from all over the New England area, from Boston and the eastern part of Connecticut and all over Rhode Island and New Hampshire. Is New Hampshire in?
Yes.
I'm a Canadian. So, anyways, we've got that whole New England area going. After that, we have another first time show in Baltimore, May 16th and 17th, and another first time show in Portland,
Wow.
June 13th and 14th. For those of you that don't know, these events are meant to connect franchise brands with business buyers. So if your franchise is expanding those areas, then feel free to reach out and we'll send you a bit more information. We also have in between those our Hello Mastermind Spring Retreat in Portland, Maine, not the same place where the Portland Franchise Show in Oregon is, happening May 18th through to the 20th. Leanne, do we still have some space there?
No.
Cut it off. Finished. Sold out.
Cut off. Done. That's another one you gotta get in before you don't get in.
There you go. Boom. Love that. And of course, we'll be at Fran Camp, our first time going over to our friends at 1851. Fran Camp in New Jersey, happening, when is that? Like June sometime, right? June.
Yeah, first week of June.
First week of June. And then, of course, we got a whole, I'm not going to go through all of them, but we got a whole slew of franchise shows in the fall. Five, I'll tell you the cities. We've got Philly, Detroit, LA, Atlanta, Tampa. Of course, Franchise Marketing Live is back by popular demand, but we've moved it from Tampa to Denver, Colorado, and that's happening November 2nd through to the 3rd, which will be back to back with our Hello Mastermind Fall Retreat, November 4th through the 5th. So if you're in marketing or friend dev, reach out while we still have space for the Mastermind Retreat. Leanne, have we opened our new CEO division?
No, but we're about to make an announcement next week.
Okay. I hope I
Well,
didn't.
by the time this podcast is out, we've made the announcement. How about that?
Just kidding. If you're a CEO and want to be part of a mastermind, feel free to reach out to us. And then finally, I'll just remind you guys about Franchising After Dark, as we said a bit earlier in the podcast. It's happening in Tampa and Atlanta in October and November. If you want a bit more information, feel free to reach out to me about that. And we've just opened up our Let's Grow January 2027. Literally just opened it up for sponsorship opportunities. And that one, it will go like this. So if you want to be a part of Let's Grow, our Franchise Sales and Development Conference, feel free to reach out to me. There's enough about that. We're mingling all over the place. We really should just, get our franchisemingle.com going and have this all listed. This episode is brought to you by Netsertive, Papirfly, Franchise Assembly, and the National Franchise Show. If you stuck around this long, folks, we love you. Good night. Have a great day.
Good day.
Bye.